Go. Okay, this is the lab demonstration for Lab 7, the genetics, and I have my handy dandy partner here. What is your name?
Cohen.
Cohen. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you first, and then we'll come back to this. So this is where we are. So again, you go to Classroom, open up that Lab 7. This is just what I lectured over. You have Part A and B. I will go over one question in this. So I mentioned this earlier briefly. So for this first part, we're going to use a coin to represent the number of times we have a phenotype, a genotype of homozygous, heterozygous, or dominant and recessive. Okay, so we are going to this part right here. So you want to read through Part A, simple dominance. Okay, and so what we're going to reproduce is a mass mating. Each one of these coin tosses is a mating. One thing you need to know in genetics is that there are no, it's difficult to do genetics tests on humans and even animals just because we usually have what? Maybe one kid a year, and at that, it's probably one every 2 to 4 years. That's just not enough kids to really do significant genetics tests. We're talking about plants or flies or bugs, we get hundreds or thousands, and that's easier. So we're going to test these laws of probability, and the pennies represent, because they have heads and tails, two sides of the same coin. So this is a gene with two alternate versions. So the heads is one allele, and the tails is the other allele. And I believe, as the instructions say, a heads will be the dominant T, and if it lands on the little t, then it's a recessive. And we got to do this 64 times. So you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
And we're going to record our results here. Since this is a lab, we want to include some lab safety. Lab safety.
And I don't know what any of the stuff you're saying means.
That's fine. Don't want to get a penny in the eye. You can take a coin, try to catch it first try. So don't pay attention to what it is. Ready? Flip. I got a tails.
I got a tail.
You got a tails. So what that is, oh no. Okay, sorry about that. And so what you want is to have something like that. And so we tossed it. We had two tails. So I'm going to mark one tally for the two tails. All right, flipping partner. Let's mate again. Ready? Tails?
Head.
Heads. Again. Tails? Heads. Again. Flip it again. Heads.
Heads.
Heads, heads. All right. So you can see right there that we both got a heads once, we both got a tails once, and we each got a heads, tails differently twice. So this would be one homozygous dominant, one homozygous recessive, and two heterozygotes. So we have 4 offspring right there. And once you know it, that looks just like the Punnett square for whenever 2 heterozygotes cross. You get 1, 2, and 2, right? That's pretty cool. Very powerful laws of probability there. So I'm going to go ahead. So there we are now. And so you're going to do that 64 times. So somebody keep count of that, and you will put your total number in there. Then you'll count up the phenotypic ratio just as the instructions tell you to, and you can refer to the beginning of the last video for that. I'll go ahead now and thank my partner. Thank you, partner. I think the danger is over. We can take our glasses off. All right.
Can I keep the change?
You may keep the change. I did want to, just in case, I want to preempt a question you might have here. So you'll answer these questions based on your experience there. So now determine phenotypic ratio for cystic fibrosis. It tells you that a woman without cystic fibrosis produced offspring with a man that also does not have cystic fibrosis. So neither one of them do. The information on the page up there for cystic fibrosis tells us that cystic fibrosis is a recessive trait, meaning you have to be homozygous recessive to have it. They have 4 children, and one of them has cystic fibrosis. The only way to have cystic fibrosis is to have 2 alleles that are small. And the only way to get it is from your parents. So that tells us, doesn't it, that each parent must have been carriers, even if they did not have cystic fibrosis. So we can conclude right off the bat that the mother and the father are heterozygotes. So what are the 3 potential genotypes of their children? Go ahead and tell us here. What would a genotype? So right here, you're going to put in the letter combination. And without CF, you'd put in the 2 potential genotypes. So right here would go a genotype if you had cystic fibrosis, and these are the 2 possible genotypes without cystic fibrosis. And so I think you should be able to walk your way through here with that information. So when it says possible gametes, remember, the genotype has 2 alleles. That's a diploid. Diploid. So you have 2 alleles. But when we say gametes, it can only be one letter or the other. So for instance, could donate either the big or capital or the lowercase. Capital or the lowercase. This dash right here is a mistake. It should look like this right here. You separate those gametes to the top and the sides, and you cross them, and these are the offspring, and then you just give me the number. Now, the instructions for all this are right up here at the part A, okay? It's the same instructions you would use for part A, simple dominance. And here's a trait for recessiveness. Okay, you'll have to email me. Again, we can do Zoom or face-to-face and answer questions. You just got to let me know a time. I'm typically always here. Thank you for watching. And have a great weekend.